Hello and welcome to this video. Today I'm going to show you how to authenticate the MongoDB database. So now let's first start our MongoDB instance. So to start the MongoDB instance, what we do is just we call this MongoDB daemon and then we specify this DB path. Okay, so let's start the MongoDB data first. So let's start mongo db path equals drive, and I have the MongoDB database in this data folder, so data folder and db. So okay, let me correct this mongo. So now my MongoDB database is up and running in the port 27017, which is the default port for the MongoDB database. Now let's open the Mongo shell so to connect to this database. Okay, so command and I just type in the Mongo. Okay, so now the shell is connecting to the local host. Okay, now let's show databases. Okay, so there are many databases currently, so let me now create the users with the roles. Okay, for the database we have to use this admin database, so let's go over that. Let's use that admin and then let's create the user, so db.createUser, and it should be in like the vision format, so it's very much equivalent to station. So user, now I will create Yogain, and password would also be, let's say, Yogain, but you can choose whatever you want. And it will be having roles. So roles will always be in the list. So now let me have this array like form, and I will have the dictionary like this role. And if you want to create the role with the admin roles, admin privileges, then you have to give the role, its name is user admin any database. Okay, so I have this user admin any database, and we also, if you want to specify, then db is admin. Okay, so okay, so you can see here successfully added user. Now we have added the user in the database, but still our database connection is not authenticated, right? Because I am performing these operations without authenticating into the database. So for this, now let's first exit the database by hitting the Control D. Okay, now also let's stop the Mongo server by hitting the Control C. Okay, now step 3 is that we have to restart our Mongo with this auth, with this key, which will enable the database to start in access control stage or access control mode. Okay, so let's start our Mongo server again, and what will I do is just add this auth option so that the database will start in access control mode. Okay, now our database is running. Now we will from here we will have two options. Okay, so we can connect to database without connecting to the Mongo shell or before the connecting. Okay, for that we only have to use this form. Okay, let's go over the cell, and I will be using mongo dash u yog. Okay, my username was Yogin and my password was Yogin. Okay, you can specify the port also, but for our case it the 27017 is the default port, so uh, we we are not required to put this option here. So let's now specify the authentication database. Okay, authentication database will be our admin. Okay, so now you are connected to the database. Now if you show dbs, right, you can see the database. Now let's start with just mongo. Okay, so show dbs, and you can see here we are not authorized to admin to execute the command, right? So now our database is starting in the authentication mode, so we cannot perform different operations on the database without authenticating it. Okay, so now there is another option, so authenticate after connecting. Okay, so I am now connected, so what I need is to authenticate. Okay, so let's use our admin database. Okay, and then db use auth function. Okay, db.auth. So here you can type in your username, okay, and then your password. Okay, so it will return 1, that means you are successfully authenticated. Now you can perform the operations through dbs, right? So in this way you can authenticate your MongoDB database. Okay, you can log in to your MongoDB database and perform different operations. The first thing that you have to understand is you have to create the user, and you have to start the Mongo server in authentication mode. Okay, so using this, and then you can connect to the Mongo server using two modes. The first one is authenticate before connecting. So if you want to do this, then you have to specify the username and password on the command, and the second option is to authenticate after connecting. For this case we use this db.auth function. Okay, so thank you very much.